Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds. Hello, welcome to another podcast with Harvesting Wisdom. I'm your host, Mike McMahon. Today with me is Richard Filipe. Richard is a regenerative farmer in Fresno, California. We're going to splice in he had a field day out there with all kinds of goodies. I mean, it was a great show, second annual on that, but I came back, I was just there last month, so we'll splice some of that in here with you. But welcome to the show, Richard.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Appreciate you coming here.
No, very excited.
Tell, for the benefit of the people watching, who you are and
Sure.
what your background is. What's your history?
Sure. So my name is Richard Filipe. I'm a fourth generation farmer in actually Hanford, California, right below Fresno, in Central California, kind of right in the middle of the San Joaquin Valley, where we do a lot of ag. My great-grandfather came over. My grandfather was one when he came over. They were like gypsies up and down the whole state of California when they first started, different jobs and ag. They ended up in Hanford because my great-grandfather told me that there was oak trees and lots of water, and that's when we set up roots. So
What year was
there?
That was turn of the century.
1932 is when when my family started there, and I feel like generational farming is disappearing. So I take this very heavy, and this is why I am kind of in the fight. I see a lot of generational farmers leaving. A lot of my neighbors have sold out, and things are changing.
Well, we see that in the world. Like everything is being bought out by big corporations, even landscape companies, left and right. I mean, we're seeing everything has to get bigger scale. But bigger is not necessarily better. And because I travel throughout the U.S., and I think the fabric of the U.S. has changed, not for the better. When you go through old farming communities where people used to live and have great families and great social life, it looks like a episode of The Walking Dead. You cannot support. Well, farming went industrial. There's only two farmers handling an entire huge field, and they're monocropping, and so we're seeing a lot of issues. We've talked about that. We saw soil, the loss of soil. There's no soil conservation. The quality of the soil isn't alive, and you're just pumping petrochemicals, which we eventually eat. Right? And we're either trying to kill a weed or try to grow the plant with fertilizer or kill off bugs or whatever, and it's a trap for farmers because small generational farmers can't afford to compete with commodity pricing for food. And California's still got some good food, but I got to tell you, in Arizona, if I buy a strawberry, it tastes like this wood table right here. It's got the texture and the look. The look is beautiful. Big, beautiful strawberries. They're not really supposed to look like that. I remember as a kid, the strawberries looked a little weird. But my God, you could taste strawberry. And so that's what you're doing now. But you're 4 generations. You're the first guy that's tried something new. So talk to me about that transition and how fun that was.
I think that's what's tough sometimes about being a generational farm. You learn from your father, and so you get kind of stuck in your ways. He taught you this, and so this has been a very tough journey. Fun journey to get to this point. And so, I think that, we were all conventional not that long ago. I always kind of tell the story. I started dabbling in this kind of because of really my own health. I had some past health issues, and as I was going around to specialists, nobody could ever really give me the answers. And so I kind of, the person I am, started studying and just kind of felt like food is medicine, started learning this. And that's, I think, what got me into it. And I was dabbling around in it, didn't know what I was doing, this regenerative, natural.
What does that even mean, right? Organic, regenerative. There's all kinds of different permaculture. There's a million different things. In the book that I'm writing, I'm trying to differentiate which each one is, but ultimately the
right?
concept of regenerative is what we kind of gravitate toward.
And I'd say I'm still new to this. Maybe I started about 6-7 years ago. Didn't get too much into it. Just those are my reasons. And then I had a fourth generation neighbor that we grew up together, come over with a tear in his eye and said, "Hey, we're selling, we're out here, we can't go any longer." And that's, I think, when my aha moment of like, hey, this, looking around, things are going. I had some other businesses in the past, so I'm always a guy looking over the fences. I've always been into technology. And I just felt something, the landscape was changing. And so it made me dig in a little deeper. And I really started studying, great podcasts like what you guys put on. There's the books, the stuff that's out there. Really started going into this. And as I started learning these things, what do? You go back to the people you trust. We have what we call a PCA that comes and tells us. And so you'd go back and you would ask these questions like, hey, I'm thinking about, less nitrogen. What about this and this? That? Oh, that would never work. And so I had a lot of pushback in the beginning. And that's, I think, what made me, where we're at today with the field day and so much farther along is that every time I kind of got into it, I felt like I hit a roadblock, and I kind of felt like everybody was telling me, no, this won't work. No, it won't. I'm a type of person that I have to see it with my own eyes and believe it. And that's how we got started in it. I think it's been 4 years now, not using any synthetic fertilizers, no insecticides, no fungicides. But not easy. I mean, I got a lot of tough tribulations through that. I mean,
Sure.
I tell anybody,
it's scary, right?
Very scary.
It's a bug, and you think I'm going to lose everything. And
this is why I'm willing to come and speak and talk, and with people like yourself. Is that I was quiet for so long, and I just felt like this is not what I'm seeing on my own farm, and what we were learning. Where I got to, I think most people would give up and say, well, when we had mealybug outbreak and the farm pistachios, and so when the trees were white, covered with mealybug, at the end of the year, we'd been putting beneficials, we'd been doing this regenerative, and it wasn't working. I'm good at reaching out and meeting people, and so met somebody, a person that was really into this, that really kind of took me under his wing and laughed at me. Well, you can't, because you're still spraying your weeds. Well, when you're
killing the biology.
When you're killing the biology. And so I learned that you have to go all the way in. And so
that's the sad part.
It's not easy.
I've tried to tell people, at least transition, but unfortunately, really, you either have to be in or you have to be out. That's what the conclusion I'm drawing.
And I think this is what's going to be very tough for the movement, is that how do you get somebody to change all their ways, especially generational farmers. In Central California, there's a lot of that, right? I mean, land prices as high as they are, I feel very fortunate. For somebody new getting into farming, it'd be very difficult to millions of dollars of investment.
Yeah. We were up in Napa, I think it's $1 million an acre.
An acre.
Yeah.
And
wine doesn't sell for that much.
No. So this is what we're up against, and so but yeah, now that we're here, I feel like we've had some, we've started to see results. I tell everybody, ask, well, how do you test this? Yeah, one of our speakers that came out of Texas, we send all of our stuff and have it analyzed, the microbes that we build, through these different practices that we've learned. But I think mainly is that I have a 77-year-old father that farmed his whole entire life conventional, that at first was, kind of friction. He was against me when we first started. It was tough for years.
Mealybug, I bet he was
it was really rough.
What the hell are you doing?
He stuck with me, and now he comes out and his famous line is that you have to be onto something, because he can see it. So yeah, we take the soil samples, we take the petioles, the sap analysis. We're doing that stuff. But
the ground cover growth that you had was like a dream to me. But for some, they're looking, saying, hey, that's a weed. That's a problem. That's too tall. We normally cut that back or whatever. You have this thing lush. Who cares about that? Because the trees were almost like what you'd see in a picture book, right? Yeah. I mean, the trees, probably something that your grandfather had when he planted trees. It was a different world. The soil was different back then. But those trees I didn't see any dead in it. I saw just beautifully formed pistachios, and I'm looking, and I'm like, this is probably a farm that will go the distance. It can go 100 years, you know.
Well, and right there, Mike,
That's the amazing thing.
that's what's so exciting about this, because we have Kerman, so it's an older variety, and if we're not too many years back, we had a lot of Alternaria, Botchosferia, we had a lot of fungal diseases coming.
Right.
And we thought, well, eventually we're going to have to, we'd prune it back. We're spraying a lot of fungicides. We're going to replace the tree because they were getting sick and doing that. What's so exciting about the transition and where I am at now, and why I'm willing to stand up and tell my story now is that we've seen an old tree that was what I call was sick because we didn't know, because we were basically poisoning it, has come back to life, and it's like a young, vigorous kid, and it's just the unbelievable, the growth. And so now, the future of the pistachio, who knows how many generations it can maybe potentially go, where not too long ago we were thinking it was over.
What I've told a lot of orchard guys is like this thing in Arizona, without cover crop, without mulches, look at your soil. Your trees struggle. They lost 20% in planting over the last few years. So how can you afford to lose 20% of a product you're creating and make money? You can't. But then what if this thing, if it does its maturation, it may pencil out, it might go 25, 30 years, right? But how about if you can get that to go 50, 75, 80, 90 years? What are you doing? Well, what you're doing is you're taking, you're tripling your profits, right, over time. So that's how about your nut fill? Do you see I mean, you haven't been doing it quite long, but do you see a difference or a difference?
Yeah.
Pistachio is weird too, right? Because one year it's good yield, next year's not. But what are you seeing there?
Well, first of all, they call it alternate bearing. Pistachios are known for alternate bearing. I feel like since we've gotten to our healthy stage, I feel like those curves are smoother. They're not as up and down as much. Wow. As far as we used to shake sometimes, and my dad's planted some in 1985, so we've got some 40-year-old trees. I remember not too many years back, we were shaking 3 times. Now we're down to shaking them 1 time because I feel like the health is there. They're coming off so much cleaner. I mean, I don't know how deep we can go on this, but I mean, I also feel like the bugs and the trees can talk, and there's a symbiotic relationship, and I feel like that you let the bugs do what the bugs are supposed to do. They sometimes relieve some of that crop, and so I don't feel like we have we call them blanks or.
So it's Elaine Ingram, and you had several people that were disciples of Dr. Ingram at the food web, not the food chain. We grew up thinking of a food chain, but a web, is interactive. It's 3-dimensional, right? So it starts with bacteria and then fungi, and then it goes into protozoas and nematodes. But the bottom line here is what she professed, and I believe it's true, is if you get enough of the bacteria in there at the rhizosphere, and then you cover it with the good fungi, it is resilient, and the bad pathogen microbes can't compete it. It'll outcompete the bad pathogens. You just need to keep aeration. You have to have the right moisture levels. You have to have the soil carbon right, and then and you've got a great guy that I want on the podcast. I talked to everybody that said they do it. It's just how much time do I have in the day? But he's doing kind of what we're doing, and he's really helping out with. He talked about the Korean method, which is still kind of mind-boggling because I'm thinking you got to be aerobic, and then all of a sudden the Korean method is they're fermenting. It's anaerobic, but they're creating some really amazing products. In everything, I love the Korean concept of you're doing it with what you got, and it's a cheaper way to farm. It's saving money, right? And so. He's got some great blends, and he's the same as me. He's kind of open source, so I think we have some pretty good extract blends. But I want to learn what he knows some stuff, because I looked at it, the end product, right? And so you're also doing teas, which are for the
the foliar. We do that foliar.
The foliar and everything. And it seems to me like it's working. So that's the whole thing.
Well, everybody asks, how'd you get into, whether it's Johnson Sioux or Korean natural farming, extracts versus, compost teas. Everything I've done and got to this point is I'll be honest, it's a tough story. I had an oversaturation problem where I thought I was under watering. I thought I was going to be behind on irrigation. I actually had overwatered and oversaturated, and I lost a lot of I think I lost 10, 20% of the crop. This is my story, right? This is why I get up and talk, because most people would never go through this stuff, and I couldn't get this information, I feel like, without going through it and learning it. It's a very tough learning, but you'd say, okay, well, how did you get to Korean natural farming? Well, Korean natural farming, I was studying it, but was I actually using it? No, it came because there was a problem. You know, I'm good at meeting these people. So yeah, right. Preston Smith is who I reach out to him because I had taken some course to him and watched his videos and been dabbling in it. And when I had the problems, I called him and said, "Hey," he goes, "You know what to do. You need to make a brew of that." Well, on 200 plus acres, well, you got to have all the material ready. You have to do it. And so the reason we got set up for it was, again, it was a problem. And it's hard for farmers to come out here and say, "Hey, I messed up," right? But I feel to be open. My story is a lot of trials and tribulations. I don't have all successes. I feel where we're at right now is we're finally starting to see a little bit of that. And now using the extracts and the teas, we're putting it on, we're using animals to graze, we're putting in compost. There's something going on. Again, back to my father. Yes, our organic matters come up, you know, in the last year or two, where we're really testing that, watching that. But again, I go back to my father. My father just farmed his whole entire life, comes out and he sees it, and that is the best test you can get. Granted, we send our stuff off.
But these are great metrics, so this is a big part.
You have to show other people.
Because now you say, look, here's your carbon content. In Arizona, believe it or not, these farmers, some of the farmers are working on 0.5%.
Wow. Yeah,
how do you grow anything healthy there, right?
Well,
so that's part of the transition. So at a bare minimum, if you want to keep doing industrial, at least get your carbon content up. Yeah. Right? But let's talk about water. You've monitored water, and water is the thing now. You know, we're seeing farmers go out of business because
water's expensive.
We're controlling wall. It's not just expensive, but they say we're running out. Some people will argue with that, but you go through a good drought for a while and you find out, there's no water, right? So what are you seeing from a standpoint of your input of water?
This I think is, you know, at the top of the list of one of the things to show and talk about. The water savings. I won't say 50%, but I think one day we can get there. I'm seeing 10 to 20% for sure on water savings already.
It's massive.
Sigma is what we have down there. Substream, it's the Groundwater Management Act coming in, and they're only going to allow us to have a little over 2 acre feet per that. Well, you can't. There's not a crop that you can really grow on that amount.
Right. And think about the guys trying to grow corn or alfalfa, right? But everybody, even the industrial farmers, are doing better with less. They're learning that they can do better with less, which is great.
And I think this is why I'm here to help. I'm open source now to let people see this, because what I've seen is that I know that we have to get to that point. Well, you can't grow, and that's why most people are closing their doors and selling out why they feel like they can. I feel like we can still grow a crop with way less water, and I think my organic matter, we're excited. We've gotten up we're getting close to the 3s.
So we'll look at some of the blends we've got, but I think you're growing a fungal product. It's more toward fungal. It's the pistachio.
For trees, we like the fungal dominance.
But we want diversity. So
we want diversity.
Biochar is a good product, but it's really more for a bacterial product. But still, using a small percentage of that. What we've noticed is using zeolite in our mix, and both those products will hold 10 times their weight or more, 100 times their weight in water. So we've been doing tests in Yuma and in California, where we haven't officially, some of them have been with the universities, but we're seeing savings of about 40%.
Wow. See,
and so that's so tweaking this and that, and guess what? It doesn't break down. Right, that stuff doesn't break down. Yeah. So and it's a great habitat for the microbes. And so it's this whole circular concept, right? And which
once you learn it,
maybe your great grandfather knew
probably
about this, because that's kind of pre-industrial that they were doing
Pre-industrial
stuff.
that they didn't have that.
And those are the books I read. So
Yep.
I'm reading books from the
I'm with you.
1850s and
There you go.
1860s. I just find them to be like fascinating. Right? And you're looking like, wow, okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of cool stuff. So what are you seeing? How many acres do you have down there? You have...
We're 200 acres, and we're pistachios. And I feel like at 200 acres anymore, that's very small in our neighborhood. And most people say, well, you can't do it at that size, right? With the cost of everything. And I feel like that's probably another reason that I got pushed into this, right? Is that was looking over the fence and seeing that we needed to do something. And I feel where we're at now, I feel like this is definitely possible.
Costs are going to be less. They're already less, right?
Definitely.
So fertilizers and
definitely
pesticides and fungicides and all of that are gone. You're not paying for it. Water is being reduced. So your inputs are less.
The main
and
costs.
You're growing that ground cover, so you're not in there tilling and cutting and doing all that stuff. To speak of anymore, right?
As of right now, yeah, we've got our own flock of.
You're basically cutting labor.
Yeah, we just got our own flock of sheep, so we're grazing. We even lost that path.
Yeah.
Right.
What was his name? The guy from Napa.
Chris Malshauer, great guy. Definitely, what a wealth of knowledge. He's taking me under his wing. I've learned so much from him, and it's not just using it to keep the cover crop contained. There's a right and a wrong, right? We're leaving them at a short period of time, leaving that solar panel, and so we're maintaining it. Their urine, their waste is being left behind. I think their saliva from their mouth does. There's so much there. I think when they rip at the grass, the exudates on the end of those root hairs kind of knocks them off. It makes the microbes move.
The concept of an exudate.
Yes, the exudate.
I never knew that.
Me neither.
A year or two ago, right?
Right, exciting to understand it now.
The concept that 50% of the plant's energy is going to these exudates, and for a purpose. Yes. Those exudates are sugars that feed the particular microbiology that actually interacts with the plant. So the crop you're growing is really important too to the work you're doing. Yeah.
And I think when I talk to new people get into this, I think that's what's so difficult because obviously I remember it wasn't that many years I didn't know any of this stuff. And when I tell them that the cover crop's doing photosynthesis along with the trees, they're all talking. They're exchanging. The tree says I need this. The microbes say okay we need this, and it's a symbiotic relationship between the two.
Well, that's the fungi is just a communication.
It's a communication. Which this winter we had about 3.5 weeks of straight fog. We didn't see the sun. Walking through my orchard, I had mushroom bodies. Just the walk was absolutely amazing for a person like me that comes from conventional, that's grown up out there in Central California. You almost felt like I was in a different,
kept like granite, right? We had soil. It was dirt.
Our ranch, our big thing was there wasn't a one weed on the whole place, right? All you saw was the tree, and that was supposed to be what a great farmer was. That's what it is, and so it's. And it was a very hard transition because all the neighbors drive by and think, well, Filipe's must be losing the ranch because why is he letting the weeds go, right? They didn't understand that this is it. It was tough. It's been a very, very difficult, but now.
Yeah, we're seeing this when we've done podcasts in Central Asia and Africa and South America.
Sure.
And in Central Asia and Mongolia and Kyrgyzstan, they're living in the steppe. They're grasslands, right? But the grassland, you can barely. It looks like they painted the grass on. It looks as there's nothing left to it. Because what they've done after they left communism is they went into capitalism, and there's 5 times the amount of animals, and they're not rotating. Peter, I don't know if you've seen him, but he's a regenerative ranch. I call him a rancher, and he's right. It's regenerative. He's growing the material, but they've found the same thing. They don't let the cows eat it all the way to the ground. They move it. They keep moving it. Simple concepts, not easy to do, especially if you've never done it before. But then it becomes easy, right? Yeah. Less, and so you become really a steward of the land at that point. Right?
And that's what's so exciting to be here. I mean, just touring your farm, learning more about worms, right? We've started doing the vermicompost to add to our stuff, and I think that just being around like-minded people, I'm excited. especially coming from, Central California, where I'm at, where I felt, for a lot of years doing this, I've felt in solo, I felt by myself because, just kind of, why would you be trying this? This is craziness. So to be here and see what I'm going to be around all the people that you've introduced me, I just feel just exuberant, moving in the right direction, that I'm not, that there's other people doing this.
I've seen lots of regenerative farming, but it's mostly ranching. Documentaries, and what there has to be, and all of them, they show it and you can see it and you're like, I get it, I understand it, but not too many of them talk about that how do I transition to it?
That bridge.
How much does it cost? That's the scary part. And it's going to be 5 years, and there is a learning curve, and you're learning things that the last 4 generations of your family never learned. So it's and your neighbors are thinking you're crazy.
Well, and that was the reason for the field day, right? The first year of the field day, I don't really remember it because I was so nervous, because I was like, this guy's going to show up and he's going to question you, and who are you to, right? My PhD is a post hole digger. That's from my friend in Texas, my pecan farmer that I've learned most of the stuff from. That's my PhD, and so now that it was the second year, what a different feel that I got. And, there's definitely something happening. And I got, obviously, being here, like, I see so much. And again, this is how I learn. Like, always busy on the farm, but being here, learning from people like yourself, and, just your staff has been just unbelievable. Just learning, right? I mean, worms are we don't even think about it, but what can they do? Just them alone.
Well, one of those. So when we go from the micro, we're going into the arthropods. There's 60,000 species of bugs.
Right.
They all have a part. But, obviously when that one bad bug comes, you're like, hey, I got to poison it and kill it. But he's there because you didn't have the right habitat.
Once you learn it.
But the worms, go back to Charles Darwin in the 1800s, where that's what he really studied for his entire life, is the worms.
Sure.
Weird. His book on denutation, I think, was more popular than his Origin of the Species, but he studied the worms, and he realized the worms are the earth movers.
That's it.
A lot of the people I met at your farm were pretty amazing. I got to order one of those.
The rain simulator. Yeah. Well,
once you see it, right?
Even for me, like I don't know.
The first time you saw it.
Well, and we worked so hard to get it. That thing barely showed up the day before. We didn't think we were gonna have it. That was something I had worked on for a year to get there. I had watched videos and I knew something, and I knew, putting all these extracts in and running the livestock and doing what I was doing. There wasn't, years back, I couldn't even grow a cover crop. When we first started, 6-7 years back, we couldn't even grow a cover crop. To see it now, like you said, you saw it, it's so lush and green. And to see my soil on that rain simulator against conventional, there was a dirt road in between the two.
You get it.
Between me and
once
there.
Once you see it, and one of the guys you met out there, he's like, once you see it, and that's my whole theory. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You can imagine the calls that I've had from a couple people that have called me and said, hey, you ruined me. Like, what happened? They said, you taught me, and now I'm driving around what I thought used to be real farming is not, and it's, and I go, okay, now you understand why I got up and put on a field day, why I'm up speaking, why I'm doing this. It'd be kind
of cool to get a commercial farmer to jump in and do this, to really show the world what it would be.
Well, you know what? There was a big sprayer guy there that has like 25 sprayers. It works with a lot of big ones, and I invited him. He thought, deception, no way, this and that. Since he's left, you should see the messages I've gotten from him, and now he's not, I wouldn't say he's in, but all the way, but he's asking, he's very curious, because he's like, hey, that rain simulator
that's what we do.
Proved it.
We start with awareness.
That's it.
And then it transitions to interest. Then it transitions to consideration. Then it transitions to execution. But there's a process, and we all have to go through that.
Yeah, you have to go through it.
And you talk about making mistakes. We did a community garden, which I would not wish upon anyone. It's so different because you're dealing with community on top of it. Everybody's a critic.
Everybody's a critic.
We were growing different things and everything, but I would say I could have written a book on the 1,000 mistakes that I made.
Sure.
And I can't say that I had a success. What it is one of those mistakes ended up being wow, look, this works. It wasn't something I deliberately tried to do.
That's me.
And that's what we're talking about.
That's how we got here.
But it is great to see somebody like a Dr. Ingram kind of help explain, okay, now you get that. And we've got from Hawassi, you had them out the thing.
Great people.
We have their extractor, and you can see we bought the whole microscopy.
The whole kit. Oh, yeah. Whoa,
we got the whole thing.
To really start dialing in.
We want to go into this, and it's really easy. We can go in, take soil, not from your farm, but from the neighbor's farm. Put it in a little shaker, beaker there, and for 30 seconds with water, we can put a little bit on a slide. Then we take an extract or soil that you have, do the same thing, and literally you can look at what is dirt, a dead soil versus a living soil.
That's right.
And so you start talking about metrics, and you say, this is the carbon that it used to be. Here's the carbon it is. It can't be bad. Maybe you don't realize it's good, but okay, it can't be bad. Now I'm going to show you the living soil. And that starts opening eyes. Then when you do that rain test, and you did the slate test, and you had everything going on. And you're looking at it all, and these are scientific methods that show this is working. That is not. And so, for the future for farming, we have to get that. It doesn't mean we're less sophisticated. We're way more sophisticated than the 1800s. It's just some of the things that we relied upon are causing damage to the soil. It's about the soil, right? That's it. It's about soil and science. It's not a political thing. We all live it. However, that being said, we live in all of us, not you, but most people, 80% of the population in the last 100 years has moved into cities, into urban areas. So our environment is that urban space. That's why our nonprofit's urban farming education. We're trying to teach people in the urban space, because you have to understand how your food is grown, why it's grown, and not just that. It has not just agriculture, it's the science behind it. It's the biology, it's the earth science, it is the chemistry, it's the physics behind, how you've got soil structure. And it's all taught at that level, and it's taught in a concrete way. Rather than the abstract. I don't know about you, but I went to school and they started talking about all those Latin words and the fungi and the arthropod, all that, and I was like, oh my God, turn this off. And I'm learning out of a book. This is a different stuff. When you go to see the kids that are part of this program that we do, anywhere in the world, they got like joy on it. Okay, it's time to go out to the garden and start. They're awake, and they go out and they're looking, and they took a seed and they germinated it, and they're like, wow. Now they can ask those abstract questions. How did that work?
How does that work?
It's photosynthesis, it's water, it's chemistry, it's biology, right?
You have to see it, Right. So that's the only way to do it. You can't do it another way. I know there's so much to learn, and this is how you learn, right? You have to be willing to be open. You can't say that you know it all. And I think we've just barely scratched the surface. Granted, some of the people that I had at field day, right, they came from all over the United States, and each their own were just unbelievable, and we show everything. But that's what everybody said when they left.
We cannot wait for the politicians. They're not. Let's face it. They need to come out. They're following us, but
it's tough.
You're seeing any transition in our world. Going to solar. It's not something the government needs to mandate or talk about. It's the same thing with like an electric car or Waymo.
This is where we're at.
This is how the world is changing, and it's changing with regular people. And that's the whole deal. And you can't hold it back. That's my point.
This is what we said, Mike. We've got to get up and do it. We can't wait for the politicians, the government to do it.
So you're coming in. I knew I had to bring you in.
Just excited to meet and learn, and wherever. I don't know where this road leads us, but just down with the fight, right? Just want to. I know how hard it was, and there's so many times I should have missed, and so I need to.
You're seeing neighbors for generations and generations. So here's my whole point, and this is the point with all of us is. We might go down. We might go down, but we're not going to go down
without a fight. That's exactly what we said.
And all
can't give up.
They have to see, but we have to help be part of that laying the road. And I'll be meeting people in Europe on podcasts. We've been meeting them and saying, okay, what have you done? How have you done it? Because there's methods. None of us know how to do everything correctly, but let's see what somebody else spent a lifetime studying, making mistakes on, and coming up with one idea, and another person. And I think we're on to something that will work, and we're going to find out.
This is the regenerative movement, right? It's
right,
and everybody's so friendly, and everybody's willing to give their time, just like you have, and right. I mean, this is how the movement started, and this is how the movement has to stay. Is that we have to be helping each other and
you get it really clear. You're a farmer. You've got responsibilities to your kids and responsibilities at home. You got to pay your bills. Everything we're talking about has to be what I call sustainable. Sustainable means it has to make money. It has to make sense. It has to live longer and last longer. 100%. It has to be a better product. So we're not, there's an old architect, philosopher, Buckminster Fuller, that said, if you want to change a broken system, you got to replace it with something that works.
You do,
right? And that's it. You don't mandate the government tell you what to do. So to me, it's how we handle waste, and wastes become our friends when we're reusing that product line, whether it's
compost,
aluminum, whether it's paper, whether it's
all of it.
And then if it's yard waste or food waste from your home, we get a lot of it. That goes back into the soil, and by doing that, but that has to be done by people. The government can help with a program, but nobody wants to be told what to do.
No,
they have to see why it's working and how it's working, and that's our job.
I think that's it.
To show the world that.
Show people how to do it.
Right.
I think this is it.
Well, let's jump in. We'll grab one of the vehicles out here, and we'll go for a drive. Let's get something to eat.
Sounds very good.
I appreciate everybody today joining. Hopefully this is resonating with you as well. Give us your comments, subscribe to the podcast.
Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.